we opened this thing up earlier just so Mark and I could riff about donation items. This is gonna be awesome. Very, very exciting. I actually, what's so funny is well, I'm kind of putting it out there before we even start, but we're in the trips and experience business, so we're not supposed to be pro donation items, but we're very pro donation items because they're a necessary component. I saw a really cool donated item sell for $7,000 in the live auction at my daughter's school event last weekend, and it was a donated apartment outside of Rome for
Yeah.
7,000 for, I think it was a 3 bedroom, and I was like, man, how cool is that? It was just cool, and we got to talk about it before the event even happened. I was kind of like on the committee and helping out and stuff like that wherever we could. And I was like, no, 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 that's a live auction item, and it worked out great. So we're very pro donation item, as a matter of fact, and we
Love
coexist quite nicely with them. So, and Mark's on to share some really, really awesome um, anecdotes of things that he's actually done and seen at events, and some good food for thought about maximizing the revenue with donation items. And yeah, it's going to be cool. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. We'll give it a couple more minutes. Uh, yep, episode 156, and we got Q&A at the bottom of the screen. We got a chat feature on the side. As questions come in, we'll answer them. This is a very interactive webinar series. If you haven't ever been here, it's good to see you. Good to meet you. If you've been here before, once again, as always, thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it. I'm going to give about 1 more minute, okay? Oh,
All
Jason's out.
right.
Jason's out today. And I'm not going to disclose his location. I don't even think he's there yet, long story short. So, but good stuff. Good stuff. We'll give it just a couple more just for folks to come in. If you're watching this as a recording on YouTube, leave us a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave us a comment, a question. If we don't get to something that occurs to you during the webinar while you're watching it as a recording, please do us a favor and leave a comment, a question, all the above. Mark and I are on the same team. And we're very easy to reach. So it's Mark at hgafundraising.com, Trevor at hgafundraising.com. If you have any questions or anything that we didn't cover or whatnot, we make ourselves very, very accessible. So feel free to reach out to us directly. If you have any questions about donation items, any items under the sun, where you think, or any questions about where things should go, what's the right place. I think that's a great place to start, Mark. I mean, I'm very fastidious now at this point about like the best, and I've learned a lot. I've actually made some mistakes, as a matter of fact, with this about where to put donation items and what have you. So I think it's really, really important that we talk about where's the best placement, right? I'm sure you're probably going to talk about that. But without further ado, everybody, Mark West, like I said, we're on the same team. And he's been with HGA with us for a while and has been doing events for a very long time and does events on a weekly basis, as a matter of fact. Is very, very familiar with auction items, of course, because we offer trips and experiences. But as I mentioned at the onset, we're very pro donation items or utilizing them. But once again, we want to really, really hone in and focus, get kind of, almost scientific about the placement of these items, what they're sold for, how they're offered, how they're advertised, if they're advertised, things like that. And then Mark's going to give us, we did advertise that we're going to give you 5 great ways that you can use donation items at your next event. But Mark's decided to give us some extra, and he's going to give us 7 ways. I'm going to keep him on a clock because we're going to have you out
Yeah.
of here in under an hour. I'm joking with you, brother. But yeah, we're going to go over 7 ways that we can utilize donation items. Do we need to do a quick debrief, Mark, about what a donation item is? I mean, I think pretty much everyone knows. If you don't know what a donation item is or what we're referring to, please, fire away a question in chat or Q&A. We like to reverse engineer this, of course, just so everyone's on the same page. But we have a pretty darn good idea. And we know when you're planning an event, it's, imperative, or you've been told, and it's good that you acquire and procure really, really awesome donation items. But let's just talk about, some examples, Mark. Let's talk about, how to use them, how you've used them recently and seen them to great success, used to great success. and how they just kind of fit in the mix, with an event and event fundraising.
Sure, yeah. So good to be here. Welcome everyone.
Thank you, brother.
It's always a honor and a pleasure to be on the webinar. So where I'd like to start is actually before the event,
Hmm.
and let's talk about procuring your donated items. And I think it's very, very important that you set a floor as far as value
Smart.
for what you're going to solicit and what you will accept. Um, your time, your volunteers' time is very valuable. To have everybody running around town picking up $20 items, it doesn't take any more time to pick up a $20 item than a $200
Very good
item.
point.
So I would set a floor as to what value you will make silent auction items and live auction items, because that's very important, and not only in generating revenue for your organization, but it takes a lot of time to set up a silent auction. And if you've got a bunch of $20 and $25 items in there, you're really putting a lot of stress and strain on your volunteers or whoever's having to put those items out or photograph them or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so best what your floor should be. I would say, depending on what you charge for entrance to your event, maybe the price of a ticket is the minimum dollar amount that you want in donated items. Now, I'm going to talk about in a little bit here about some things you can do for lower value items, but I would not spend a lot of time soliciting those types of items. If somebody wants to give you a $25 gift certificate, I've got a way that you can maximize the return on that, but I would not solicit those types of items. You need
Makes
to,
sense.
really be mindful, and always remember that everything you do, you're training your donors and you're training your attendees with the way you do things at your event. They'll come to expect things to be done a certain way, or expect to be able to donate certain items, and you want to make sure you're training them the right way.
You're laying a framework. Hey, Mark, hit your speaker really quick for me, brother. I think I was getting some gnarly feedback. No, we're good. Okay. No, but like it's so important that you mentioned that because we're laying a framework. I don't know if your speaker's near your mic. No big deal, brother. But for what to expect year to year, you're talking about. And this is what we talk about this a lot, right? Where we're conditioning our donors in a good way, of course, conditioning our donors about what to expect year after year at our event. And this is for a reason, right? Not to, we're conditioning them to realize that we're going to have, really awesome items, well thought out, well procured items, not too many items. And we can go down a bunch of different rabbit holes here, but I love what you
Right.
said about making sure that you use. Let me digress just a little bit. Talk about how you use the ticket price or the table price for attendees to dictate the lowest, that floor that you're talking about with value of these donated items. And you're talking about, once again, of course, it's a nightmare if a volunteer is driving around for 2 hours grabbing $20 items. We don't want that, right? And no offense to the folks that are willing to donate it, but they can make a $20 donation, for instance, as opposed to giving us, a cheap bottle of wine they've had in their fridge for 2 years, right? I mean, that's
Right.
just not a good use of people power,
Right,
if you will.
right. You
But
don't
talk to me
want your
about
donors to look at your silent auction as a way to clean out their garage.
totally, and that happens far too often than not. Talk to me about your description, though, the equation that you use with regard to ticket price, table price, for instance, and the value of a silent auction item. Talk to me about that just a little more in detail.
Sure. Well, the idea is that if someone can afford $100 ticket to your event, then it's quite likely that they can afford to bid on items that are worth at least $100.
Totally.
So you always want to be, you don't want to run away from your attendees with what you're offering. You don't want to out outprice them, but but you want you want to make it worth your time and their time to be there and to maximize your revenue.
Yes, sir.
So I would highly encourage, um, maybe looking at the price of a single ticket as a floor for especially silent auction items.
Yep.
You wouldn't want to put $100 item in live auction. Um, that's a little bit tougher call. I would say for live auction items, you want something that's going to bring, at least four figures.
Yeah. $1,000 or
And
more.
and once again, depending on how many items you have, um, and and the capacity in the room,
Mm-hmm.
meaning the amount of money in the room.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got uh, people with a lot of capacity, say people that can write a check for $10,000 and not miss it, you don't want to have a bunch of $1,000 items in your live auction. You want
Right.
things that are going to appeal to those people, and hopefully you'll be able to find donated items that will do that. Now, at some point, I believe you're not going to be you you're going to have donors at an income level or a capacity level that they're not going to be satisfied with a donated item,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where consignment can come in
Sure. For sure.
to bridge
For sure.
that gap. But I think for many people, for most organizations, donated items are an excellent option. I would suggest several months or at least weeks before your event, sit down and go through the people exercise. And we've
Yeah.
talked about that on here many times. And it's a who do you know? You get your leadership team together, maybe your biggest fans in your donor base, you get them together and you just pull out the phones and you start seeing who do you know,
Yeah. Who's got a rocking backyard? Who owns a yacht? Who owns a
yeah,
helicopter? Yeah.
who's
Who do
got
they
a
know? Yeah.
who's got a condo in Italy? Who's got
Yep.
a place in Cabo? Those
Yep.
kinds of
Yep.
things.
Yep. Be
And
more
that's where,
intentional. Yeah. About how
yes,
you
and
acquire these
that's
items. Yeah.
where you can really maximize the donations. You can zero in. And I work with organizations that they've got people who will donate every year. Every
Mm-hmm.
gala, they'll donate their condo in Ruidoso, or they'll donate their condo at the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and a lot of people come to expect those, and they're really good donated items. Now, one thing I was going to cover is what happens when those things kind of go flat.
Yeah. Let's
You've
talk
got a
about that.
donor that donates, say their condo in the mountains, and it's done great for several years, but the last 2 or 3 years it's just flattened out, or maybe it's even regressed and it's not bringing in as much as it used to. You can still maximize the return on that. Turn it into a raffle
There you go.
instead of putting it back in the live auction again, because maybe everybody that's interested in has bought it. But put it in a raffle. Set your ticket price so that if and limited number of tickets, I would say no more than 100 tickets. But set your ticket price so that you can maximize the value, whether that's $50 a ticket, $100 a ticket, or whatever it
Or
is,
more.
or more. Yeah, exactly. That all depends on your donor base. But that's
I
a great way to honor your donor's gift
yeah.
and and realize a higher return than it's been bringing in the live auction.
I think everyone's faced that, of course. That's watching right now are going to be watching as a recording. Anyone that's done an event, or a year after year, I've been a part of an organization at whatever level, has seen that person that I just want to keep donating. I'm going to donate. Well, you're going to use the house, right? You're going to use the house again. You're going to use the boat again. This, that, and the other thing. You're going to use my timeshare again, right? And it just falls stale. And everyone has felt that pressure before, from that particular donor that wants their item in the live auction, for instance. And what's great, like once again though, we've done this and reverse engineered it. Jason has with a guest on this webinar where we were talking about the best placement for a live auction item, and we talk about the golden ticket opportunity or creating a golden ticket opportunity with that donated item, because it could actually, and that's a great conversation to have with that donor if they're just confused about why their home, for instance, their donated home is not in the live auction again for the 10th year in a row, because there's a better opportunity to raise more money with it as a raffle item, you know what I mean, as a
Yep,
drawing or as a golden ticket opportunity. So it's great. Is that one of your best ways, your top 7 ways to use donated items that we were going to get into? I think it's a nice segue to get into that. Would that be a golden ticket opportunity?
absolutely. That was actually number 4 is raffles.
Cool.
So we'll come to that. Let me
You want
back
to
up.
you
Number 2,
What was number one?
number 1 was set that floor.
Okay, perfect. Got it. Okay,
Set
got
a
it. Yeah,
set a
yeah.
minimum
Just
for
be
what
aware. Yeah,
you'll
yeah, yeah.
you'll
The
you'll solicit.
framework. Yep, cool.
Now, number 2
Talk to
is
me.
you get a donated item, but man, you don't know if it's going to have any interest or not.
Sure.
Maybe it's a piece of art. Maybe it's just something a little quirky. You're afraid to put it in the live auction because it may not sell, or it may sell for very little. And also, you don't want to embarrass the donor. You
Yeah.
you you want to honor them because they're trying to help your organization. So for those types of items, I love what I call the secret bidder. With the secret bidder, you can take that item, you put it on like a little cocktail table all by itself, or if you have to make a poster for it, you can do that. And then you get a nice box that you can't see in. I had somebody one time use a clear box.
Okay.
That doesn't work. You need a box that can't be seen inside. So maybe you just take, a, a, a box that you got from Amazon, but you wrap it in really nice paper, and you put a slit in the top of it. And then you put little bid cards out, and people will write down their name, their bidder number, whatever information you want, and then they will write their bid for that item and drop it into the box. That way, if nobody bids on it, nobody knows. But if you do get bids on it, nobody knows what the other people are bidding. So you might have a bid that's way over the others in the box. Obviously, that's the person that's going to win.
Love it.
So it it the secret bidder honors the donation, honors the donor, protects them from any embarrassment if it sells for very little or doesn't sell at all. But it can also generate a lot of revenue because people don't know how much the other people are bidding, and maybe they want to be sure they win it. You can also set a minimum bid. Whatever you want, and set that minimum bid. Um, so I love that. I've got an organization that's used that very successfully several times in the past. So the secret
Love it.
bidder is way number 2 to maximize revenue from donated items.
I love that. And also to the point, it's super creative. I just think that like things like that, we're talking about conditioning donors throughout this entire process as well in a good way. That's something creative they haven't seen at probably a lot of other events. It draws attention. And like you said, yeah, you mitigate any misses, so to speak, with that donation
Exactly.
item as well. I think it's awesome. Any questions, folks, about the secret bidder or anything like that? I thought that was really cool, Mark. I love that idea. I remember you talking about this before. I hadn't thought about that one for a while. I love that. And just make sure it's not a clear box. Make it a
Yeah, don't use a
make it a
clear
Tiffany
box.
box or something like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Put a big bow
Yeah,
on it.
you know,
Yeah,
get a really nice box,
there you go.
but
Cool.
just something where people can't see how much other people have bid. They
I
can't
love
see
that.
the little bid sheets in
And
there.
it sounds super easy. You don't need someone over there manning the table or or standing over the top of it the entire time.
No,
Super easy. Yeah, cool. That's effective. I love that. I love that. That'd be a great consideration just to have at an event, not even if you're up in the air about the item. I just think a secret bidder, opportunity is a great way to raise money. I think
oh,
that'd
it
be
can be
really,
a lot
really
of
cool.
fun. Yeah, for
Very
sure.
cool. Very cool. We should
Yep.
talk about that more.
Yep.
Okay, hit me with number three. Hit
All
us
right.
with number
Number
three.
three is bundling items.
Okay.
So you, and this is more for probably your silent auction, although it could be in a live auction package, is
Yeah.
you take items that are related, that have some relation, and you bundle them together. Maybe you put them in a really nice basket, use that pretty cellophane wrap,
Mm-hmm.
really make them good, good looking presentation. Um, you know, things like backyard bonanza. You get some backyard items. Maybe for the live auction, maybe there's a grill, maybe there's an outdoor video screen, and then a bunch of smaller type items that can all go in there together. Um, the typical movie night packages, date night packages. This is also a great way to handle gift cards that you get, especially if you get a bunch of gift cards from restaurants. You can package them all together and sell them that way. I love bundling. I've got organizations that do really well with this. I'll also say, um, talking about silent auction items, if you're not putting a buy it now price on silent auction items, you're missing.
Well, talk to us about that and what that means versus, for instance, because I'm a big fan of doing buy it now or instant win
Yeah, instant
online
win.
and sign,
Yes,
obviously, but no, either one, same, same thing, different moniker. But this applies to online and silent. This applies to donated items, consignment opportunities. We've completely moved away actually from publishing any values, and we've in turn, and to great success, as a matter of fact. You were talking about creating a floor with value. Now we're talking about a ceiling. Tell folks what that means. Once again, it applies towards donated items, but having a instant win or buy it now price point. And
yes,
let's just say the item's opening bid is $500, and it's donated. What would be, give us an example, like an instant win or buy it now scenario, what that looks like with bidding increments and all that good stuff.
sure. So I'll use a real world example. One of my clients last year at their event, a local artist donated a a polished granite stone. It was pretty large, and it was
Mhm.
in the shape of Texas. And they put it in the silent auction, and they had I think they had a starting bid of $400 on it, and then they put a buy it now of $900 on it. And as soon as the silent auction opened, it immediately sold for $900.
Right. Yeah.
Um, they have other items they've done this with. Uh, if if the item has a retail value, then they'll usually set their instant win. You're not supposed to use buy it now because that's trademarked by eBay, but we use instant win, and that's a good one too. So
Yeah.
they will set their instant win price as twice the retail value, and they have people buying boom boom soon as it's available or within a few minutes of it being available because they want it. They don't want to mess around with bidding, and they don't want to risk somebody else getting it. So using an instant win price is a great tool, not only because you can make increased revenue from the item, but also because it kind of sets a value of the item.
That's what I was saying. Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
especially if it's something that, you can't pull out your phone and look up and know what it's worth,
Like the granite piece of Texas. Yeah.
like the granite piece. So
So let me
this
ask you a
year,
question. Let me backtrack with that though, Mark, because I want to get in the numbers here. So the opening bid was $400. That was just kind of like, okay, we'd like to get $400 for this, right? Probably the number that was really pulled out of thin air, if I had to
yeah,
guess. No offense to the folks that made the donation, but the instant winner buy it now was at $900. Would you, I mean, if we're starting at four, would you say to a client or someone that's in the same position, let's use this equation and make the buy it now, four times that. So let's make it 1,600 or something along those lines. Because it sounds like you said they bought it instantly at $900. Well, if they paid nine, they would have paid
right,
15,
right,
in my
yeah. Who knows?
opinion. That's
Well, so I would say make your instant win at least twice
yeah.
your your opening bid amount,
Okay, cool. Yep.
and maybe three times.
Yep.
Uh, and I'm not saying that it's going to sell for that, but
Yeah.
maybe it does.
It
And
also
and
depends on the item itself, right? Like if there's, and I'm sorry for interrupting, but I think this is important. It's like, if it's a $400 opening bid and you're saying make it twice or make it three times, whatever, right? Cool. If it's a bigger ticket item, let's say where the opening bid is 10,000, which we do see in silent auctions, as a matter of fact,
right,
with
sometimes you do.
donated items and consignment opportunities, we're seeing things sell in the silent auction like we've never seen before in the history of silent auctions that we've been involved in. So it's really, really cool. But even then, now you've got the bandwidth to even go, okay, the opening bid's 10, the instant wins 25.
Yeah,
Like we've
yeah,
seen that
exactly,
too, and we've seen it work. So
exactly.
you're just playing with the numbers here, but just realize that that's a sliding scale depending on the item itself and maybe the experience itself, right? So
Yes,
so bear that
yes,
in mind. Yeah, yeah. I think that's good. I think that's really, really
yes.
good. Any questions about that theory or the way that we go about buy it now or instant win, I should say, versus value? You're setting, I love the way you layer this. We're talking about setting a floor. Now we're talking about setting a ceiling with the items and what they're going to go for. I think that's really, really good feedback. It's working really, really well. And it's allowed, this is my take, and I might be peeling the curtain back a little too much, but we're in the items business. What I see is that it's getting folks away from value, retail, value, la la la, things I can look up on my phone, like you said. That's all kind of folded into what we're doing right now in talking about this. Is that you don't want things that folks can just typically just look on their phone real quick and I can have that delivered to my door. A, it's not going to raise as much money as you want it to, and B, they could literally have it delivered to their door. So why buy it from you at your event, right?
Yes,
I
yes.
think that's really, really huge. But what it's allowed us to do, I had this conversation yesterday, Mark, with someone, as a matter of fact. It's ironic that it happened this way. But I said, to the individual, I said, it's gotten donors away from being shoppers, so to speak,
Yeah,
and being givers.
yeah,
And I highly, like I said, we're peeling the curtain back pretty big here. I highly, highly recommend that you get away from being so attached to value, retail. The same gentleman I talked to yesterday said, "Well, I put some things down as priceless," and I said, "Are they?" You know what I mean? I'm not saying, and I knew the person, so I was able to speak candidly.
right,
But it's like, is that misleading? Is that a little, should we use the term priceless? Those guys, I know experiences can be priceless, and I've had some of them. You know what I mean? Because you'll think about them forever, but you know what they are. You know what you paid. Right?
right.
So we know how
Yeah,
much money that stuff like that. So I think that's good. Bailey, we got a question that came through. Will you hit us with that real quick while before we go into number five?
Do I need to refresh because it's not showing on my end? The last thing
Oh, pardon me.
so
Oh,
for instant
Okay,
wins
right, yeah.
using consignments, can we still leave open for bids? Um,
say that out loud one more time, Mark. I'm sorry.
For instant wins using consignments, can we still leave open for bids? Silent auction
in the
in
silent auction.
Well, that's a
yeah.
great question. Go
So
ahead,
if you
Mark.
have somebody,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead, Mark. What do you think? What do you think?
I would say I would I would not do it. I would not leave it open, um, because you run the risk of alienating the person who paid top dollar for the item,
Yeah.
and then turning around and selling it for much, much less to people who
were bidding.
who were bidding. I would I yeah, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I would let the person who paid, twice what the consignment item is worth, have it and be done. Because in that instance, you're likely going to make way more selling that one item
Yeah.
than selling
You hit it out of the
multiples.
park. You basically, right?
Yeah,
When you hit that
yeah,
instant win figure or that donation, Bev, I totally understand your question. Makes total sense. We got a $5,000 reserve price on something that we put in the silent auction or the online, which are synonymous these days. And we had the instant win at 10. That's a huge win, right? No pun intended. That's a
yeah,
huge win for the organization. If you have underbidders or backup bidders, I would say that it's not beyond you to have a conversation with them about the fact that someone did buy it at the instant win amount and making it available to them. That I would absolutely take that at bat, so to speak, because if that's that we're talking about market. I remember people used to say market value, right? Instead of retail value or value and all these things. Well, we don't know what the market value is yet because the market hasn't dictated it yet because you haven't had your event.
right,
That's true market value. What will the
right,
market dictate right now?
right.
That's how we assign pricing to things, as a matter of fact. Every industry is different. I totally get it. But that's really the truth if you look at if you dissect the terminology itself. The market is being dictated that evening. Right? So it's like
Yes,
if an item like
yes,
that sells for 7,500 at an event in Texas, but it sells at 10 as an instant win in Oklahoma, Bev, that's the market value, right? So I'm thinking that market value has been assigned in real time at your event. So I absolutely think that, and you're playing in the ego, or someone wants to, someone does also want to be a part of the win, so to speak. Then if it's sold for 10, I'm just using loose numbers here, of course. But if it's sold for 10, offer the underbidders the item at 10, and
yep,
I think there you go. I think
yeah,
now you're really logging, so to speak. I hope that helps.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. That's a great answer to that
I
question.
think having that conversation is awesome. I also think I'm getting in the weeds here, but I also think if you had underbidders for an item, let's just stay with the illustrative numbers I'm using. If you also had underbidders that were bidding on an item that had that big of a price point, so to speak, you should absolutely, if you don't know them, even if you do know them, if they were willing to bid on an item like that and you've identified them as that level of a donor or what have you, absolutely take the opportunity to talk to them. I know we say this ad nauseum, but
Yes,
talk to those folks that evening. And direct them to other items. Ask them what they'd like to see next year. Things like that. Use that
yes,
as a way to say thank you. So you have the gratitude portion, but you also have the fundraising portion where you can actually really extract some really cool information because that data, and once again, that market is being dictated to you right in front of you in real time. So great question, long answer. So,
that's right.
but
And
good.
I'll piggyback on that a little bit from an
Please.
event that my team did week before last. There was a donor that donated their condo in Tuscany, and it was for up to 21 days.
Wow.
You could have this condo for as many as 8 people. And the bidding took off. It was in the live auction. The bidding took off. We got to like $6,000 or $7,000, and there were still 3 or 4 hands in the air, maybe
Yeah.
even 5 at that. And then pretty quickly after that, it took off and went higher and ended up selling for I think it was 11,000. Now, once we got to about 8, several of those hands dropped out. But I noticed that, and so when we had our wrap up meeting, I told them, I said, "Hey, you know, you had you had 4 or 5 people that were interested in that Italy package, still at around $6,000. So and this was the first time this person had ever donated this package. I said, so something to think about for next year is even if they do donate the package, there's a lot of demand for Italy in your room and at a good price. I would consider finding a good Tuscany consignment package that you could maximize revenue on that and sell it multiple times for, you know, $5,000 or $6,000.
Super smart.
So,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
that it's important to to watch and pay attention what's going on in your event. You know, we had another event this past weekend where there was a lady. She came by herself, sat by herself. She bid on multiple items in the live auction. She didn't win any, but she was bidding up to, you know, $4,000 or $5,000 for some of these items. And you know, that night I asked the 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 president of the organization, I said, "Do you know who that was? Has she been here before?" And she had never been there before. They knew who she was. I said, "Well, you need to go talk to that lady because although she didn't win anything, she was bidding, you know, good numbers for you. So she's got capacity. You need to go talk to her."
She's a
So
raving fan. She's a raving fan, and we know those don't come along every day. You know, of
right.
course, right? That's the
So,
beautiful part of it.
you know, have designate somebody during your live auction to keep an eye on the underbidders and make note of who they are. And if you don't know who they are, you need to introduce yourselves and find out who they are and what their connection is to your organization.
So good. I love that.
All
Yeah.
right.
Hey, let's get to number 5, but
Let me
I'm
get
just gonna
moving.
do a quick call for
Um,
questions, if there are any, of course. Okay.
so we're actually at number 4, which is
Uh,
raffles.
okay.
So you can you know, you can use raffles with donated items.
Mhm.
Um, one one way I see raffles used very successfully is what we call bucket raffles. And it's set up just like a silent auction, but instead of bid sheets, every item has a little bucket or a little box in front of it. And you sell raffle tickets, you know, hopefully by the arm length. And or you sell them, you know, $20 each or 6 for 100 or $200 for an arm length. And then people take those raffle tickets and they go and drop them in the bucket for the items they want. They might drop 5 raffle tickets in this bucket. They might drop 10 in this bucket. But it's a way that you can often get a lot more money for items than you would if you just used a silent auction.
I love that. That's such a cool. Once again, another really creative thing that you don't see at a lot of events. It just makes it fun and interactive for
You
folks. That's what they
see
want.
you see the bucket raffles a lot in the conservation groups.
I could see that. Yeah, they're
Those
very raffle, but
organizations
they'll have 20 raffles
do
going a
those. Yeah,
night. Yeah, yeah,
they're very raffle heavy,
yeah.
but
In a
that's
good way. In a good way, because it works.
yes. So bucket raffles, and then as I mentioned earlier, if you've got that live auction item that's been donated every year and it seems to have kind of run its course, turn it into a raffle.
Yeah.
I had a client that did that. They had someone that had donated um, uh, a diamond every year, and they had done what we call diamonds on ice. I won't get into that, but they had done that for I think 3 years in a row, and then the last year it just really fell flat. They just didn't sell nearly as many tickets as they wanted to. But you know, I suggested, hey, look, if that person will still donate the diamond, turn it into a golden ticket raffle
Yeah.
and sell it that way. And they did that this year, and in a pretty small room, they ended up raising $5,000 with that. So you know, there's raffles are a good way to maximize return on donated items.
Those items inevitably get stale over time. Now, if you're an outlier, which there certainly are, because every event has its own atmosphere, they're not all ubiquitous, of course, as we all know. However, items inevitably seem to, the majority of the time, get stale year after year after year after year because folks are just conditioned to seeing them. So, like you said, yes, repackaging things, maybe adding an experience with it, putting it into, creating a golden ticket opportunity. It's just genius, frankly, and it raises a lot of money, and it allows, once again, we talked about this earlier, it's like just like the sensitivity of certain donors and whatnot. They want to see, at the end of the day, it's a fundraiser. They do want to see their item raise the most amount of money possible for your organization, right? So just great to consider. Great to consider. So I got
Right.
my numbers all messed up. That was number 5.
So that was number 4. Number
Number
5.
4. Yeah, hit me. Sorry.
Number 5
I'm still messed up on the
is
numbers.
one that I really love, and I call it the paddle drop.
Let's talk.
So with the paddle drop, this would be the very end of the evening. This would be the absolute last fundraising thing you do, because people are going to take their bid card or their bid paddle, and they're going to drop it in the basket for say a $50 donation. So you don't want to do this if they're still going to need their bid paddles for something. But at the very end of the evening, you have people drop their paddles into a basket for a $50 donation, and then you draw a winner for that, and they win a nice prize, something worth $300, $400, $500. This is a way to take a donated item that's in that range and end up with maybe $2,500 instead. And it's money that would have just walked out the door. People would have just walked out the door with that $50 in their pocket if you didn't offer the paddle drop. And we've done it with all kinds of things. Like I said, it doesn't have to be something, super high value, but it needs to be something with a broad appeal and, something worth a few $100. And this is also something that you can use, that item that, people can look it up and they can see it's a $400 item. So it's a way to take that $400 item and change it into, $1,000 and up.
Yeah. I love that. I think it's fantastic. Ooh, getting some feedback.
Love the paddle drop. All right, got 2 items left here.
Okay.
So item number 6 is mystery bags.
Hmm.
And I had a client that did this last weekend, and I thought it was genius. So they took all those items that just didn't fit anywhere, things that didn't fit in a bundle. Maybe they had a bunch of odd gift cards, but they packaged them in these really cute bags and sealed them. Each bag had a minimum value of $100. Some bags were worth up to $150. The cost of each bag was $100. You just bought it outright. Now, we've been talking about raffles. A mystery bag, to me, is not a raffle, because as long as they're getting at least the same value as they're paying, there's no chance involved. So if they give you $100, they're going to get at least $100 in value back. So if you're worried about being able to do raffles, this is a good thing. So they had 11 of these bags, and they sold out like that. So they netted $1,100 off these bags that were just a mixture of stuff that they didn't know what else to do with. I thought that was a genius way. And so if you get people that are donating, $25 gift cards, things like that, something that you just can't figure out how to bundle and make something else worth more. You don't ever want to make a bundle and just throw some gift cards on it, because you're not going to, one of 2 things is going to happen. Either you're not going to realize the value of the gift cards, or you're only going to realize the value of the gift cards. People are only going to bid up to the value of the gift cards, and whatever else is bundled in there is going to be a freebie. But if you put them in mystery bags, people don't really know what they're getting. But it's kind of fun. It's kind of exciting because maybe you get that bag that's worth $125 or $150. But you know you're at least going to get $100 of value back. So you're not going to lose anything. And I thought that was just genius. You know, they netted
cool.
$1,100 off.
Yeah, it's awesome with donated items.
Which,
Yeah, I think it's
yeah,
great. And once again, if you're noticing a trend here, and we're like, we just like everyone knows we give our best information away for free, but we're actually at events watching this and relaying this information. I just think that being creative and giving folks an opportunity to give in a way that they haven't seen at your event before is
that's
such
right.
a great way. And it's also, hey, let's just say it's someone that's never been to your event before, but they go to other events. And differentiation is stronger than competition. So seeing the way you do your event and how interactive it is and how fun and engaging it is and these different opportunities and different entertainment, all these different things, it really does make a difference when you're getting folks to come back and consider coming back to your event. You know what I
That's
mean? Because
right.
it is a fundraiser with a celebration as well. So really,
That's
really
right.
good. We had another question come in. I want Bailey, we want to get to that. If you don't mind, another call
Are
for questions, everybody, please.
are
Yeah.
mystery box price for purchase, or are they bid items?
So these were just a straight, excuse me,
Great question,
straight
by the way.
purchase.
Yeah, great question. Who'd that come from, Bailey?
Excuse me.
It came from Beverly again.
Thanks, Bev. Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank
great
you. Great
question.
question.
They had another table set up, and they had somebody manning the table. They had the mystery bags all laid out there. You got to pick which bag you wanted, and they were, you know, letting people put them on their bid numbers.
Nice.
So they were just, writing down their bid number. People didn't have to pull their wallet out to purchase the mystery bag, but they were just a flat $100. And when they were gone, they were gone. And they sold them out very, very quickly.
Super cool. Super cool.
I thought
Love
that was
it.
genius.
She
Any
said
other
it sounds
questions?
like-
Any
She
other
said it
questions?
sounds like a wine pool.
Well, in a
Similar.
way.
Yeah,
So
similar.
the thing about wine pools is that a lot of times, like this organization has a wine pool, but they also have bottles of wine. It's $20 to play, but they also have some $15 bottles of wine in there,
Mhm.
and that makes it a raffle. But you could. It is a very similar concept, very very similar concept.
Yeah. I love
Except
it.
it's just using all the leftover stuff.
You could also do both. You could do a wine pull and the mystery bags and a bucket raffle and all of these things. You could have different ways. It's amazing to me. And I need to tell you, Bev, because you raise a lot of money and you really know what you're doing, but you always have great questions and great feedback. So thank you. But like, we always say, what does Jason always say? We want to be equal opportunity receivers. There's different budgets. There's different things that catch people's attention. The raffles are kind of uncanny because it really plays to people's psychology and the chance to win. Almost, I don't want to. I use the G word. I use gambling sometimes when I talk about it, but it does kind of like inspire folks to kind of like it almost like they are wagering, if you will, right? Because they can compute the math. It's like this is how much it's going to cost me. This is what I could get. I'm willing to go in for, and you're just pulling from different budgets because bear in mind as well, and I just love I just love talking about different creative opportunities that you can get folks to give that $1,100 with a donation item or what have you. The $500 with the paddle drop, in the bucket and all those things that you can make that it is there. It's low hanging fruit, so to speak, and it is there, but it's all coming from different budgets. Folks have a raffle budget. They might not tell you what that is, and that's okay if they don't disclose that pre-event. But they have a raffle budget. They have a ticket budget. They have a table budget. They have a bar budget. They have a live auction budget if they're wanting to bid on the live auction. They have a silent auction budget. They have a fund and need budget. They're all different budgets. And the only thing that changes is whether or not someone has a budget for everything. That's the only thing that changes. They're all coming from different budgets, believe it or not. We have this conversation all the time. The live auction is pulling from a different budget than the fund and need. Just because someone spent $5,000 on a live auction item does not mean they were going to give your organization $5,000. They bought a $5,000 auction item, donated or not, because they wanted something for their $5,000. And guess what? That's okay.
Yeah,
It's okay. I mean, that's the
yeah,
reason why you even offer it. So all these different creative ways that are just sounds like basically because I know you have a myriad, you have an encyclopedia of revenue enhancers that all work, and obviously you're adding to that now. But now we're just doing, we're talking about revenue enhancers with donation items specifically, and you can never go wrong. Different streams, different revenue streams. You have to utilize these things, and it's creative, fun, interactive. People like it. It inspires them. Like I said, there's a psychological pull to it. All really, really cool, all poignant, and all things that should be considered. I have the vision of a 12-year-old, but I cannot see Sandy's question. Bailey, could you hit us with Sandy's questions, please? Thanks so much, Sandy. Good to see
It was
you.
just I was messaging her back.
Okay,
It
cool.
was just how she used the same theory as the mystery bag, but instead she used a balloon. And
Fun.
inside the balloon was a gift card that was at least the value of the balloon. And when they popped it, they got the gift card, and it was just more interactive
Far
version of
out.
mhm.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep,
love
yep.
it.
Great, great, great share, Sandy. Thank you so much. I think that's awesome. If anyone else has any success stories, because fundraising is really, really cool. We're not building the next Amazon, but we are building something really, really cool here. This is changing in real time in such a great way. And I mean, changing, growing, right? What we're able to do, Mark being at events, us being a part of, gosh, probably this year, what, 2,000 events, if it all, pans out, seeing all this and hearing this feedback and seeing how people are raising money, it's like if people say things to you like, this is the way we've always done it, that's a huge red flag because there are a lot of really, really, really creative ways that you can raise money
Yeah,
right now. And we need to keep having the conversation and we will. So
yeah.
that's our promise. Hey, so my numbers are all messed up. How many more do you got,
All
brother?
right, this is the last one.
Okay, great.
Number
Oh, fun.
7.
Fun. Yeah, good.
Number 7 way to maximize the value of a donated item is last champion standing.
Love it.
And we've done probably at least 3 webinars on this just all by itself.
Yeah.
But last champion standing is it's a lot of fun. It's not a raffle. It's not a game of chance. And it's a way of taking an item and getting probably at least 4 times the value, and sometimes much, much more than that. Weekend before last, my team and I had 2 events. The Friday night event, we used for the last champion, we used a 3-night stay at a condo down on the coast here in Texas, valued at $1,200, and we brought in $4,600 with it, playing last champion standing. So it
It
was
never would have brought in just
almost
to be
4 times.
clear, it
There's
never would have brought
no
in
way that
4,600 in a
that item
live
would have,
silent. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
not
Good.
not alive. And um, we don't have much time left, but last champion standing, the winner of that, and it's something that we play at the or start playing at the $100 level of the fund to need or the paddle raise, and it's very competitive, but it's a lot of fun. And the winner is the last person to make a donation. And I say make a donation because sometimes we have to bump up the donation level from $100 to $200, or in the Saturday night event we got up to $500. And at that event there was a bottle of Rip Van Winkle bourbon, which, if you know anything about bourbon, that's got a retail value of about $1,200.
If you know anything about bourbon, you know it's overpriced. No, I'm
They can
joking.
be very hard to find, but people love it. It's a
Yeah, they
lot of
really do.
fun.
Yeah, yeah.
And then there was a belt buckle that the organization had made that said, the name of the organization, 2024 Last Champion Standing.
Wow.
And in Texas, that's like having a world champion bull rider belt buckle to wear around.
Right.
So,
I love it.
we had a $1,200 bottle of bourbon
and a belt buckle was probably cost $200-300 to make, and we brought in over $16,000 with that, with Last Champion Standing. So, go to our YouTube page, or maybe when we send out the recording for this, we could put a link to one of those webinars where we talk about Last Champion Standing. But that little revenue generator by far will generate more money than just about anything else, as far as value for a donated item, and not be a raffle. Which I know in a lot of states you've got challenges of being able to do a raffle, but love Last Champion Standing. The crowd always likes it, and it's something people look forward to the next year as well.
Well, you kind of just teased the next episode. We probably have to do another deep dive on the Last Champion, actually, because I'm intrigued now, raising $16,000. I saw that happen at, I'm referring to the most recent event that I went to, my daughter's school. They had an item and they brought in, I want to say, even it was at the $100 giving level, right? And they brought in, between 4,500 and 5,000. I just forget, that's just amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, it's crazy. The item that they had was a $1,500 item. So, I mean, great. And it gets, you're like you said, I'm not bullish necessarily. I have my opinions about where that should be in the event. Do you think it should be at the end of the Fund and Need, at the end of the live auction? Obviously, correct? Live auction, Fund and Need.
We like to
Last
do it at the
Champion.
end of the Fund and Need, and then
Yep.
segue into the live auction.
Okay, perfect.
After that.
Cool. So placement's important. Hey, everybody, I'm going to do a last call for questions, but if you have any questions about what Mark just discussed or any part of this, reach out to Mark. It's mark@hgafundraising.com. Check it out. Email him. Obviously, a great resource, as you can tell. We're going to have him on again. We've had him on before.
Beverly asked another question.
Yeah, please hit us.
Wanted to know if for Last Champions, if the prize was a surprise or people know what they win.
I think it's really important they should know, but that's my opinion. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great
People
question,
know
Bev.
what the prize is.
Yeah.
We've even done it where we had the little cocktail table and had either the item there or a poster advertising the item, and then one of the auction team will stand there with it and kind of explain about what we're going to do. We're not auctioning this off tonight. We're going to give it away. And all you have to do is be the last person to make a donation. And you can see them. You always get the head tilt. They're like, "What?" And so then I'll always just say, it's simple, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
And we'll explain the rules, but it'll be a lot of fun.
There's a lot to unpack there, and I think that folks, once again, just a nudge, a careful nudge. Reach out to Mark so we can spend 15, 20 minutes with you on Zoom, on the phone, talking about the last. Yeah, I think it's a really good idea, folks. I'm sorry, I'm putting your business in the street, brother, but people know how to find you now.
Yeah.
But no, reach out to Mark about this, because this is not the first time I've heard this story of success. Scotty, our friend.
Oh yeah,
your friend Scotty
Gibbs,
he talks about, he's been on the webinar. As a matter of fact, Bailey, let's do this. Let's include the link, the YouTube link to that episode that we did with the Last Champion, if you don't mind, because that will really, really help folks just kind of unpack what that means. And any questions?
It was Scotty, right?
It was with Scotty. Yeah.
Scotty Gibbs.
And we need to do it again. We do it pretty much once every year, where we talk about the Last Champion, because it evolves and there's more success stories and whatnot. Very rarely are there misses, especially if it's explained properly and it's done right. So I'm going to do a last call for questions. Mark, amazing.
Thank you.
We're going to do, everybody, we're going to do a podcast where we talk about this. If you want to share, it's a little bit easier sometimes just to share a pod with someone in your network or someone on your team or at your organization, or just someone to get any value out of talking about how to maximize the revenue potential with donated items or any items in general. You can tell that we kind of geek out about items and fundraising in general, but check us out. Hey Nonprofits, Raise More Money, Spotify, Apple. It is on YouTube as well, wherever you consume your podcast. check us out. And then Mark and I are going to drop an episode probably next week about this same topic that'll be a little bit more short form. And I'll get my numbers right. And we'll put out some good info and continue having the conversation. But Mark, awesome as usual, brother. Such a wealth of
Thank you.
information. I can't thank you enough. Everybody, we are going to do our usual HGA Bucks giveaway. And Jason told me, because he's out of town, that everyone wins this week. So everyone is leaving that watched the
Wow.
yeah
All
that
right.
attended in person live. Everyone is going to have $100 in HGA Bucks in the deposited in your HGA bank account that you can use towards an HGA item for your next event. I see some folks on here that maybe they're stacking some HGA Bucks. Fantastic. So everyone's going to get another $100 that they can add to that HGA account that you can use once again towards an item at your next event. We'll have someone from our team reach out to you. It might even be Mark himself about that. And just so thankful. Really appreciate everybody for coming. Thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy your Thursday. And Mark, I'll talk to you very soon. And thank
All
you,
right.
Bailey. All right. Thanks for all the great questions, everybody.
Bye,
Talk to you
everybody.
soon. Bye
Bye.
now. Hook 'em horns. Hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em horns.